Hello, welcome students. So let us again start our next discussion in the series of lectures what we are discussing. So till now we have discussed some different topics of system administration and again some shell programming. You know that many topics of shell programming have discussed, and along with that system administration part also we are discussing. And here let us start today's discussion with some another essential of system administration. And today we will discuss mainly about disk management in the system. So let us move to the next slide. Yeah. Now, in the disk management, one important aspect of disk management is of taking the file backups, and it is also the essential duty or activity of the system administrator also, among other essential duties. Taking backups is one of the very important responsibility or duty of the system administrator. And when we are talking about the taking backup or backup process, now there are mainly two types of backups usually done, we can see frequently done in a typical Unix environment or system administration environment, mainly with Unix or in some version of Linux also. The first type of the system administration, in the system administration job, the first type is done by the system administrator, which actually involves the taking the backup of all files of the system itself, that means system files and user files also. So system files and user files both have to be taken as backup. Such backups are taken generally on mass storage devices like hard disks or like that, fixed disks or any other disk like compact disks or like that. Those are actually magnetic disks or optical disks, nowadays optical disks, and recently lot of other type of modern storage device or disks also have came. So this type of backup taking usually uh, done by the system administrator. So system administrator takes which type of file? Mainly system files and user files both. Other than this type of backup, individual user or non-privileged user also can take backups, and they generally take the backup on comparatively cheaper devices. Nowadays, though the variety of storage devices are available, but they take the backup mainly of their individual work in some other type of storage device. And this type of backup, taking backup, is only the concern of the individual user, or especially the non-privileged user, means common user under the system. And it is comparatively less important than the backup taken process by the system administrator. And for performing this backup taking process, a Unix actually have some command. The command is called tar. Tar command is used, and this tar actually stand for tape archive. Previously, maximum there was tape drives. That's why the command is named in such a way. Tar, tape archive, tar. This is actually the short form of tape archive. Now, previously there was backup taking process related to floppy drive, and Unix understands a wide variety of floppy disks, though the 1.2 MB and 1.44 MB varieties were the ones which are more commonly used. Previously, those were used. Nowadays, already the floppy disks are not very common, almost obsolete today. But previously, floppy drive were used, and at that time, Unix understand wide variety of floppy disks, especially 1.2 MB and 1.44 MB. Both of the varieties were widely used. And you have to remember that the floppy disk format in Unix are not the same in other operating system like MS-DOS or other operating system. And here one important thing have to be kept in mind. Before that, let us move to the next slide here. So, in the backup process, uh, before backing up we have to format, but formatting I will discuss later. First, let us discuss about the backup process. And whenever we will take the backup, one important thing you have to take in mind that what the disk used in a Unix machine, those disks must have to be formatted under Unix only. So the disks used in the Unix machine you cannot allowed to format on other environment. You have to format under the Unix environment. And once it is formatted, then it can be used in two ways in Unix. One is we can create a file system on the floppy disk, and we can use that file system as a hard disk. In the hard disk, we can use that file system as a directory. So you can create a file system, and you can use that file system as a directory on your hard disk. This is one process. And to do this, we have to mainly do two things. First thing we have to do, that is to establish a file system on it using the mkfs command. And the later on in the slide, you can see that mkfs command is there. This is actually file system establishing command, mkfs. And secondly, what we have to do, we have to mount this file system at a specific place, and that specific place is called a mount point on the file system. File mounting and about these things we shall discuss in our another session of lecture later on. But for now, we just mentioning these two steps. What we have to do to to use that the file system as a directory on the hard disk. Another one thing we can do, we can access the floppy disk using the raw access method, which doesn't require creation of a file system on the floppy. So whenever we will take, generally using in previously, whenever they are taking the backup of data, especially data or something like that, they use this type of method. But irrespective of the method, which method we decide to use, first we have to format the disk. So now let us move to the next slide. Now for formatting a disk formatting means erasing all the data from the disk. So you know that about the formatting, meaning of formatting, and to understand interface with the different types of disks, there are several files present in the dev directory. You know that in Linux system or Unix system, different types files present in the dev directory, and previously there was a convention of naming that these files are named as per capacity and type of disk for which they was prepared to interact. So for example, you can say here a file name we have given here RFD096DS15. This is a file name. Now what is the meaning of this file name? Actually here the RFD, the first three word RFD stand for raw floppy disk. So RFD actually meaning that it is a raw floppy disk. The short form is RFD is written here. Then 096, so 0 indicates floppy drive A. 96 indicate that how many tracks are there in per inch. So here 0 stands for mentioning, indicating the drive, that is drive A, and 96 is indicating that how many tracks are there per inch. And here DS stand for double sided. DS means actually double sided. So the drive is able to store data in both the side. And 15, the last two integer, last integer 15, this is indicating number of sector per track. So for this is an example of how the file names are indicating. And here another examples are there, like RFD 196DS15, that means same RFD is raw floppy drive, and here 1961 stand for the drive, and here 1 is indicating drive B, 0 for A, 1 for B. Then again 96 in the same way of the previous example, 96 tracks per inch, and then again it is double sided DS, then again 15 is number of sector per track. Another one different kind of file you have seen, RFD048DS9, it is also 0 indicating in A drive, and it is indicating that 40 track per inch is present there, and 9 sector per track is there in the raw floppy drive. Now next let us come to the disk formatting command. Now you can see that formatting a floppy disk, you can use the command $format/dev RFD096DS15. So at that time, for example, suppose you have to format the 1.44 MB floppy disk present in drive B, which say $format/dev RFD1135DS18, for example. So in this way we can use this type of formatting command. So we will continue these things on next another session of lecture. For this session up to right to this year concluded here. Thank you.